Under Pope Leo XIV, something special is happening inside the Vatican. Spaces that were quiet for years are coming back to life, and traditions that had faded are returning. Not as museum displays, but as living parts of faith. Pope Leo isn't erasing what Pope Francis did, but he is adding new light to the old, letting the Church's past shine in today's world. These revivals aren't about nostalgia. They're about helping people feel close to God in everyday life, reminding them that faith is not a distant memory, but a living, breathing part of who we are. In this video, we're going to look at the top 5 places in the Vatican being revived under Pope Leo XIV. These are places that carry stories of faith, places that speak to the soul, and places now welcoming people again with hope and renewal. The first place is the Sistine Chapel. This is where Pope Leo XIV celebrated his first Mass with the College of Cardinals after his election. It wasn't just a ceremony for the cameras. It was a moment filled with deep meaning. Under Michelangelo's breathtaking paintings of creation and the Last Judgment, Pope Leo brought back Gregorian chant and Latin prayers, connecting today's prayers with those of the past. It turned a place many see only as a tourist site into a living space of worship. Sources inside the Vatican say the Pope plans to hold several public liturgies there every year, showing the world that the Sistine Chapel is not just a historical masterpiece, but a place where faith is alive. The second place seeing revival is the pallium ceremony inside St. Peter's Basilica. The pallium, a small band of wool, is given to new archbishops as a sign of their mission and unity with the Pope. For years, the ceremony became quiet, with the bands blessed in Rome, but handed over in private ceremonies in each country. Pope Leo XIV brought this tradition back to St. Peter's, personally placing the pallium on each new archbishop during the feast of Saints Peter and Paul. Incense, chants, and prayers filled the basilica, reminding everyone that the Church's unity is not just an idea, but a living reality, connecting bishops worldwide to Rome and to the faith of generations. The third revival under Pope Leo XIV is seen in the celebration of the liturgical calendar. Instead of small, quiet celebrations, he led a grand Corpus Christi procession through the streets of Rome, walking behind the Blessed Sacrament under a canopy, with priests, nuns, and faithful singing hymns and carrying candles. This wasn't just a ritual. It was faith moving through the streets, reminding people that Christ's presence is not confined to the walls of a church. Other feasts, like the Chair of St. Peter and the dedication of the Lateran Basilica, are also celebrated with renewed beauty and reverence, using music, language, and rituals that lift hearts toward God. Pope Leo's goal is not to change everything back to the old, but to bring back the sense of sacredness, helping people experience God's presence during Mass and feast days. The fourth place coming back to life is Castel Gandolfo, the papal summer residence overlooking Lake Albano. Pope Francis had chosen not to use it for living, turning it into a museum space for tourists. Pope Leo XIV has reopened it as a place of rest, reflection, and prayer. He led public Angelus prayers from its balcony, reminding people of the importance of silence and spiritual renewal. He meets with theologians and church leaders there, using this quiet place to pray and plan the Church's future, just as Pope John Paul II and Pope Benedict XVI once did. Castel Gandolfo is becoming more than a vacation home. It is returning to its role as a spiritual retreat for the Pope and the Church. The fifth and final revival is seen in how Pope Leo XIV celebrates Mass in the liturgy. He has reintroduced traditional elements that help people feel God's presence, using Roman-style vestments, Gregorian chant, Latin prayers, and reverent gestures that remind people of the sacredness of the Mass. The Book of the Gospels is honored, the cross is placed at the center of the altar, and the deacons use incense to show reverence for God's Word. Pope Leo's goal is not just to make things look beautiful, but to help people remember that the Mass is a meeting with God, a moment where heaven and earth come together. His upcoming plans include bringing back traditional papal blessings with prayers used for generations, helping people feel connected to the faith of the Church through these sacred actions. Under Pope Leo XIV, the Vatican is not changing for the sake of change. It is returning to practices that help people feel closer to God, the Sistine Chapel is becoming a place of prayer once more. The Pallium ceremony is uniting the Church. Feast days are celebrated with reverence. Castel Gandolfo is echoing with prayer, and the liturgies are filled with beauty and grace. These changes are gentle reminders that the Church's past holds treasures that can guide us today. Not as chains, but as lights that show us the way to God. These revivals invite us all to see the Church not as a distant institution, but as a living part of our faith. They remind us that God is close, that faith can shape our daily lives, and that silence, beauty, and reverence are gifts in a world that often forgets them. The Sistine Chapel becomes a space where prayer rises beneath Michelangelo's paintings. The Pallium ceremony reminds us of unity. Corpus Christi processions bring faith into the streets. Castel Gandolfo offers quiet for reflection. And the liturgy invites us to meet God in the Mass. As Pope Leo XIV continues his work, many are watching with hope, asking what other traditions and places will be revived next to help people grow in faith. These gentle renewals show that even in a fast-changing world, faith can remain strong, alive, and deeply meaningful. What place or tradition would you like to see revived next under Pope Leo XIV? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Do these revivals help you feel closer to your faith? Do they inspire you to learn more about the Church's traditions and the beauty of worship? We would love to hear your stories and reflections. Thank you for joining us to learn about these 5 places. Once again, a place of prayer, not just a place for tourists. The Pallium ceremony in St. Peter's Basilica is reminding bishops and the faithful of the unity of the Church. Corpus Christi and other feasts are being celebrated in ways that help people see the faith alive in their streets. Castel Gandolfo is becoming a place of reflection and prayer again. The liturgies of the Church are being celebrated with beauty and reverence, helping people to feel God's presence in the Mass. These changes are gentle but clear reminders that the past of the Church has much to offer to the present. Traditions are not chains that hold people back. They are lights that guide people forward, showing them the way to God. Pope Leo XIV is showing that faith is something to be lived with the heart, with actions that reflect the love of God and the beauty of His Church. These revivals are not about going backward. They are about bringing what is good and holy from the past into the present, so that people can experience the faith in a deeper way. As these places and traditions come alive again, they offer people a chance to see the Church as a place of beauty, faith, and hope. They remind people that God is close and that His love is always there, guiding them through the prayers, the sacraments, and the life of the Church. In a world that often moves fast and forgets the importance of quiet, prayer, and beauty, these revivals are a gift, showing that there is another way, a way that helps people find peace and strength in God. Each of these revivals under Pope Leo XIV invites people to take part in the life of the Church, to see these places not as far away symbols but as living parts of their faith. The Sistine Chapel is a place where prayer rises up under the paintings of creation and judgment, reminding people of God's greatness and mercy. The Pallium ceremony connects bishops and the faithful in a bond of faith and service. The processions of Corpus Christi bring the presence of Jesus into the streets, reminding people that faith is meant to be shared. Castel Gandolfo offers a place of silence where the soul can hear God's gentle voice. The beauty and reverence of the liturgy help people to experience the Mass as a meeting with God filled with grace and peace. As Pope Leo XIV continues his work, many are watching with hope, seeing these signs as a path toward renewal in the Church. People are asking what other places and traditions will be revived, what other steps will be taken to help the faithful grow closer to God. These revivals show that even in a world of change, some things remain strong and true.